Hello and welcome to episode 91 of JagaVision. I'm your host, Jared Nyberg. I am co-owner of JagaSilk here in Victoria, BC. We put on these shows every week at Thursday, so if you're watching an archive version and you want to join us live, you just come on over to our youtube.com, click that subscribe button, and if you click on the notification bell, then when we go live, you will know that we have gone live. Join us in the chat room, ask your questions, and even if you're watching an archive version, you have some questions after the fact, please feel free to ask them, and we'll do our best to answer them in the comments section. So yeah, last week we had a really fun episode. We had our good friend Adam Creek join us from Creek Speak. He's an Olympic gold medalist, yeah, we were very we had a lot of fun. You can also go back and check out the episodes that we've done with lots of industry folks, and yeah, we've been having a good time. So just making sure I got everybody who's joining me today with their link. So yeah, we are every week we are also joined by Sherri Anne of Sister Speak Music. She's kind of our honorary co-host. We've been sponsoring her for going on 12 years, I think, with her music project. She's got a third studio album coming out pretty soon here, so excited for her. We have today a really fun show. We're going to have actually a really old friend of mine who I met at the tea festival here in Victoria when he was running the Serendipity Tea Company. He's specialist in teas from Sri Lanka, and he has since moved to Slovakia, and he's an English teacher, and he's furthered his career as a pianist. He's a very competent musician. We had the good fortune to be able to serve some tea at one of his recitals, one of his shows here in Victoria. Yeah, going back to 2007, I think, with Adrian. So really stoked to have him join us. He's going to join us at about I'd say 1:15 ish. So we'll see what happens. I'm just gonna let the world know about our show here. I think he's gonna join us pretty quick. So better post about it, right? Yeah, we've been. It's actually amazing that we're here today. I've had so many technical just insanities that I'm really stoked that we actually get to make this happen today. It was definitely one of the harder episodes to make happen, but here we are. We are on, and we are ready to rock and roll. So we'll see if he wants to join us right now. Okay. Normally what I do before the episodes go, before my guest joins me, if everything's been going according to plan, is I like to enjoy some tea that I've never had before. But today I think we're pretty close to the line, so I'm going to just make the tea that I want to enjoy with Adrian here today when he joins me from Slovakia. So let's see if I can't get him to join. Okay, bear with me. Adrian Bronson, you're gonna join us. Okay. Okay, bear with me. I gotta be a better multitasker. Let me see if I can't get him to click the link that I sent him. Oh, there he is. Okay, amazing. Okay, Adrian, are you there? Oh. Hello, hello. Adrian.
Hello, Jared. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. How are you doing? Welcome,
Excellent.
welcome to JagaVision. Looking sharp, man.
Like you always.
live from Slovakia, as I understand.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty sweet. Yeah, it was really nice to see you when you we were doing an episode late last year, and Adrian walked by and waved through the window, and I hadn't seen him, and I don't know. I feel like it had been forever, really
It was a
long
long time.
It had
Yeah.
been a long time. So, but yeah, welcome to the show. Really
Thank you.
glad we can make this happen. Do you want to maybe let everybody know who's watching? Who is Adrian Bronson?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. It's your deep philosophical question for the day.
Excellent question. Who am I? I ask myself this every day.
Yeah, yeah.
But
fair enough.
basically, I'm a musician, I'm a pianist, and also an English teacher. And I live in Central Europe.
I guess you've been much longer now in Slovakia than you were in Victoria, maybe? I don't know.
No, actually not. It's been about 6 years now.
Okay, all right. So what drew you to Slovakia in the first place, and what has kept you there, out of curiosity?
Well, actually, I was first drawn here by my desire to study in Hungary.
Okay.
And after I finished my 2 semesters there, I decided that I really liked it in Central Europe and I wanted to stay. And I had an opportunity to open my business. The conditions in Slovakia are great. It's like one of the fastest growing GDPs in all of the European Union. And
Wow.
the tax situation is very good for small businesses. So it seemed like an ideal location to kind of set myself up.
Cool. Yeah, because when I met you, you were a student, but you were also a business owner. I was telling everybody before you came on that you used to run the Serendipity Tea Company.
That's right.
And that's really how we met. Was at the tea festival here in Victoria, which we've since revived. I don't know if you knew about the tea festival revival, but it's.
I haven't been following it much.
Yeah.
No.
So we registered a nonprofit called the International Tea Appreciation Society, which you should totally be a part of. And
Send me the link.
yeah,
I'll
right.
check it out.
And we actually, so we've been doing 6 years of the Tea Festival Reborn, because it actually after 7 years over at the convention center, it sort of blawed away because they couldn't get the tea merchants to come on board anymore. So we sort of retooled it, and we revived it, and it's more education first. And when the COVID-19 hit and the pandemic hit, and we had to cancel one we'd planned for like a year, 3 days before it was going to go live.
Wow.
And then we pivoted to an online show, and we were getting like 800 people in Nootka Court here, if you can believe it, and all these merchants set up at the tables outside, and it was this outside inside really cool festival. We had the International Tea Symposium, we called it, and we actually we got donations from the previous year at the door to bring a farmer from Japan over, and the local hotel paid for him to stay there, and he did a talk at the symposium, and it was really, really cool. So the next year, well, actually that year we went completely online and moved the festival from because we canceled it 3 days before. We moved it to later in the year, and we did 24 hours of basically a glorified JagaVision, where we had these guests join us, and there was the co-director of the society, Ryan Moen, was the co-host, and we had people live from India and China and from Taiwan and from across Canada, and all tuning in and doing these 45-minute segments. And we learned so much. I have never had so much tea in my life, man. I co-hosted the entire 24 hours straight.
Floating in the air.
Oh, dude, I was so tea high. It was crazy. I remember it was like 4 a.m. I think I've told this story before, and there was this like ancient Chinese tea ceremony they were doing from the Qing Dynasty, live from Yunnan, China, and the lady who was making the tea, she kept on spilling it, and the person watching was frowning at her. I'm like, I was so afraid for this person's life, and there was this like amazing demonstration happening next to her with like playing on these ancient instruments, and it was so beautiful, but it was really, it was like I was in another universe. Like I just felt like 4 a.m. and I'm like watching this ancient thing, and I'm like, whoa, it was pretty wild.
Wow.
But yeah. So out of curiosity, so I know you're a pianist. You've gone down that path. But when I first met you, you were into tea. Is tea still a part of your life? Are you connected with it still? Is it something that you're just sort of it's part of your past but not part of your present?
Tea has always been a part of my life. My father's from Sri Lanka, and that's where they get the best black tea that you can taste.
Okay, okay, yeah, fair.
Got to represent.
Yeah.
So it's always been a part of my life.
Yeah.
And after going there the first time in 2006, I realized that there was a huge opportunity to bring quality tea to at least the mouths of Canadians. And this is why it dawned upon me to start the Serendipity Tea Company.
Right.
Because that was one way that I could do that. I could say, hey guys, look, this is fresh. This is from Sri Lanka. It's not this bag tea that you buy that's 2 years old. By the time you have it, it's fresh and it's mouth-watering good.
Sure.
Something like that. So it's always been a part of my life. And after I went through having the company, I decided that it would just be better for me to focus on my music because I was going to school at the time. Wanted to finish my degree, and that kind of just led to one thing and another. So I'm very much connected to tea. I'm always willing to try. I'm always willing to go to tea plantations in countries that I visit.
Sure.
And this is definitely something that will never change.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, because I mean, I'm sharing with you today. We have this this floral Lapsang Souchong, and I have to tell you, I have to preempt this with I really dislike Lapsang Souchong.
I know, and when you said that, Adrian takes some Lapsang Souchong with you, I thought, I don't know about that, man. It kind of almost made me shiver. He said, no, it's okay. It's okay.
I need to educate myself more.
Okay, fine.
Because I don't know why this is called Lapsang Souchong. Because in my head, Lapsang Souchong, we're thinking like this, like really smoky, horrid kind of like fake smoke smell. But that's not in there at all.
Wow, that's like, quite nice.
There's nothing
Actually,
there.
when I hear Lapsang Souchong, I think of Winston Churchill is probably the only person who ever bought it in the history of its production.
Right? Yeah, probably the only one. Yeah, but.
Apparently
actually,
he had his with a shot of alcohol. Well, I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
No, the man, the legend.
Wow, this is quite nice.
It's not. There's no smoke on it at all. And actually,
none whatsoever.
You know Keeman tea, right? Like it's actually it's a region in China, but Keeman oftentimes there's this smoky association there as well. So. Do you have a scale? Were you able to get your hands on one?
Yeah, I got one right here. It's like
awesome. Okay, why don't we try weighing out?
Being Canadians, I think we can measure grams in our hands.
Right? Is that how it works? If
you're ever a teenager in Canada, you understand.
I see what you're throwing down there. Yeah. No, that's
Okay, so we want 2 grams.
We want 5 grams.
Yeah, that's what it says here on the package. 5 grams.
Let's do 5 grams. Yeah.
Okay.
And don't those look beautiful? Look at that. I'm gonna show the audience. This is a different camera than you, but look at that. Okay. Yeah, very pretty. Woo. Yeah, they almost look blue. They're so dark. It's kind of cool. That's a very deep oxidation. Nice. So we started this. Like when you and I met, we were just focused on matcha, right? We were like.
Yep.
That's all we did. Right. And I mean, to this day, we're super fascinated by it. We have a mill going every day almost. We have a chiller going to keep the plates at an ideal temperature.
Yeah, it was quite impressive seeing how things had changed in the last, I think it was 5 years since the last time I was in your store.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of, we have new floors since you were in here last time, so.
Nobody looks at the floors, but okay,
I know.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. It was a really big deal. They had to take out everything. You saw all the stuff we had in here.
Sure, of course.
It was insane. But we survived. Anyway, when we were in this for about 5 years, we started to do loose tea, and you probably remember us doing tea because we
I do remember that, yeah.
Because we released it when we opened up the tea shop. So we opened up the tea shop in 2009. I might have even met you after we already had the shop. Hey, was it?
Would have been here at Nootka Court.
Nootka Court 2009 is when we opened, but I was a wholesaler with my wife there for 5 years.
I knew you beforehand, actually.
I think you did, yeah, because we would have met at the early days, like the second tea festival or the third one or something.
That would have been 2008 tea festival, probably.
There you go. So the following year we opened up, and then when we opened up, we were like, you know what? as much as it'd be really cool to just do like matcha and matcha alone, we felt it might be a good idea to do a small rotating line of teas. And I think I even bought some tea from you.
You did.
Yeah.
I purveyed you some wonderful white tea from Noora Elia in Sri Lanka.
Oh, that was really cool. I think you were part of. That's correct. That was like part of like the very early days. That was
very difficult to get.
Adam's Peak, I think it was called.
It was Adam's Peak.
Yeah. And
they were only able to give something like 100 grams of it at this one shop that I'd been to the first time I went.
So
and that's all I could get you.
Yeah, I remember like, bring me back some of the good stuff. and it was good. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. And we also, I remember you got us some Pedro Estate from Noora Elia as well.
Man, that was hard because I don't understand maybe sometimes the cultural demands of certain things. Pedro Estate is in Noora Elia as well, and in Sinhalese it means new light. It's a really beautiful place. It's kind of like the England of Sri Lanka. I believe they still have a hippodrome for horse races, and it's very English because it's in the mountains. It's something like 3,500 meters above sea level, and so the climate during the summertime is surprisingly between 25 and 30 degrees. So it's perfect for the Englishmen trying to escape the plus 45 degrees of the desert part of Sri Lanka or whatnot, or even the southern coast, where you're just gonna roast to death. You open the door of your car and then you're hit like the oven is just burning on top of you. So it was interesting. It's very English there. How
did you get the I'm interested in Sri Lankan teas. I have been able to get spices, but I've had so many connections just not dry up, but just it would be so challenging to work with because I would order in big quantities, like 300 kilograms, and they would just
that's nothing for them. That's nothing for them. They don't care. If you're not ordering a full container, they don't care.
That's what the feeling I got. They just kind of looked at it, and I sent them the money, and then they just kind of like, they were never dishonest about it. I'll tell you that. But
no, they're not.
But it was just horrible how long I had to wait. Like I think one time I had to wait 8 months for them to ship my product, and I was like, really?
Sure.
Like really? Come on.
It is difficult. The thing is, I mean, what can I compare it to? Something that is in abundance and people don't usually ask the question. I mean, the quality of water.
Yeah.
Can you imagine somebody saying, could you give me a small flask of water from your tap? What's your problem? They really don't deal with people unless you're buying a full container load, and this is something like 40,000 kilograms.
I found a workaround. I found a workaround. One of the ladies who's answering emails, she quit, and I had her WhatsApp. So I'm like, hey, I know you quit. Can you source me some spices? Because she was the only person who was able to like actually make things happen for me. And she's like,
by the way, before we continue the story, are we going to make some tea?
Yes, we are.
Because I'm kind of thirsty right now. I got my 100-degree water right here.
Okay, good. Is it rolling boil? Rolling boil, I hope?
Yeah, rolling boil, my friend.
Good. Okay. So you want to drop the entire 5 grams into as small of a teapot as you can handle.
This is my teapot.
Okay, all right. And
wait, you can't see it.
Okay.
You can see it here. Like it has a little face in it. Like.
Oh, hey, that's a matcha bowl. That's amazing.
Okay. It is. I want it.
Okay, so you're just gonna pour a tiny bit of water on top of it. Put it on the scale first. Tare it on the scale. Add a little bit of water.
Okay.
And this is called a rinse. And then I want you to immediately strain off this water.
Yep.
Done. Bam. Okay. I'm gonna share with you here this is called Gong Fu Cha. So it's okay. And then what I want you to do is I want you to put 120 grams of water, but you're not gonna re-tear the scale. There's a little bit of leaf absorption, and I just want to take that into account. So 120 grams total.
Okay.
And then boiling water, good times. And we are going to let it sit for about 15 seconds is what I often do, maybe 30 seconds max.
Okay.
and then we can taste a little bit of what this tea has to offer, man.
It's quite florally. I can smell it.
Yeah, right. There's like that rose or some kind of.
For me, it's very sweet tannins, almost fermented tannin smell.
Yeah. No, I find it really pleasant. This guy is from Wuyi Mountain, a Mr. Shi. And I think we're good. That's 30 seconds. There we go. Yeah, that's a nice color.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so.
Okay, I'll just clear these up because I want to drink it out of this Mashable.
So you strain it off at 30 seconds, and then what you want to do is you want to, in a perfect world, you'd have it in a tiny little cup, but honestly, if you're just taking tiny sips, we're going to be in a good place.
Okay, got it.
And then it's the next infusion that's going to be the best off of these leaves. So, you ready for this? So there's like orange.
Oh yeah, it's quite lovely.
Isn't that nice? It's like sugar cane and like some sort of navel orange. Like, I'm really into this tea, man. Like, it's very good times. So we actually, for a while, we've been trying to wrap our head around how we can release this kind of tea that on my, it's going to cost like $50 for 40 grams. Like, it's a super specialized tea from Wuyi Mountain. Wuyi Mountain is famous for their like, have you ever had Da Hong Pao? Or like, okay, so Da Hong Pao is really famous. It translates as red robe tea from China. So if you talk to a Chinese tea enthusiast and you say Da Hong Pao, they're going to be like, oh yeah, like they're going to know exactly what you're talking about. It's a very dark oxidation, but it's still in the world of oolongs. And it's been roasted fairly heavily. You get this kind of roasty, beautiful, sort of darkish, almost black tea like, or what we call crimson tea like flavor profiles. And what Mr. Shi has done here though is he's taken a cultivar that's you would often see produced as a in that particular style, and he's gone and he's turned it into a crimson tea, and he's gone for this floral Lapsang Souchong. And I guess what I'm learning is that the really good Lapsang Souchong is like the really good Keeman. There's not even a hint of smoke. No smoke at all. Like the smoke conversation is just for export and for cheap tea. And so if you get into that's not like uniformly true. I actually, I had one of my customers here wanted to try smoked tea. And I was like, dude, don't even go there. It's horrible. And he's like, I just want to try it. And I'm like, okay. So I actually wrote to the owner of a farm in Yellow Mountain in China, in Anhui. And she's like, hey, I can get you some good smoked tea. So I actually brought them in these really good ones. Like they were like $300 a kilogram and like $600 a kilogram. It was like crazy. And I copped them and I was like, these are actually really good. Like this is legit, but yeah, I'm still like, I think I'm like that with like smoked anything. Like when they use like the fake smoke, like it's the liquid smoke that's like been added to the mix. And
that's like most bacon. If you ever watch how it's made.
Yeah,
bacon.
They just add it, right? Like, I can't.
Most Slovak families have somebody who smokes bacon, and who also makes moonshine. So
like rolls it and smokes it in.
Like the Cheech and Chong joint.
This person in my family. yeah. They smoking the bacon. They smoking the bacon. Well, so. Anyway, Sri Lanka. I was saying Sri Lanka.
Yeah. We have two ongoing stories.
Yeah, we do.
So about the Pedro estate.
Yes.
My story about the Pedro estate is that when I was there in Nueva Elia, I went to the estate, and my friend's dad, who's a Buddhist monk, he has a temple there. He hooked us up with this guy because I think he was a disciple, and for some reason, if you have a monk on your side in Sri Lanka, you have all doors open to you. They're respected. They're highly respected.
Very cool. Okay.
And nobody asks twice.
Okay.
It's like it's almost as powerful, even more powerful than the highest person in politics, basically.
Wow.
Interesting part of the culture.
Yeah.
So he set us up with the export manager at
Okay.
the time. I'm not sure if he's still working there. And he gave us a bunch of samples. And these are the samples I sent to you, actually.
I remember them.
The funny thing about it is he gave me all of the lot numbers and everything. I thought, okay, this is great. So if Jared likes this tea, I'll be able to get him some.
Yeah.
So I went to DHL in Kandy, and I was going to fill out the forms and everything, and I handed him the package, and this guy at DHL, he says, "What's this?" "It's tea." And he didn't believe me. He said, "It's tea? Show me." So he takes the package, he cracks it open, he's looking at it, he's smelling it, and I realize that he thinks it's weed. He thought, it's like, dude, I'm from Canada.
Why do you? This is like
export
turning into
Sri Lankan weed. It's like,
it's turning into a theme for the dialogue today. This is hilarious.
it was crazy. I felt a little violated.
Sure.
I didn't know what my rights were. Does he have the right to even check that? He's not customs.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went along with it, and he was like, "Okay, this is fine." So I sent them to you.
Yeah.
And then when you're like, "Yeah, I love these. I love these." I don't remember if you.
There was a few that I remember being standouts for sure.
Right. So then we contacted the company.
Yeah.
And
no.
Mr. I won't say his name. He got in a lot of trouble because he wasn't supposed to give us these kinds of things. And this is like the large estate mentality.
Yeah.
That you can't really approach them for anything under like a full container load.
And I remember you saying that. And I was like, I think I can afford a kilogram. You know, like I was so small, right? I'm like, maybe 5. You know, and I'm like, you're like,
the only companies that are willing to do that in Sri Lanka are the ones that are affiliated with fair trade.
Yeah. I mean, this lady I found it's organic, fair trade, and you know, but the place she was working at.
But she's from Uwa, isn't she?
She is from Kandy.
I mean, not her, but they're based in Uwa, because it seems like the fair trade establishments have their plantations in Uwa.
You know, she's now a buyer for me in Sri Lanka, so she buys from various estates for me, and then she packages it up and sends it to me. So that's perfect. It's worked out really well. And she's organized, and she started her own company since then. And she's like the head honcho, which is kind of cool. And we've been kind of in the background. We still, to this day, I don't buy a lot of tea from Sri Lanka right now because of these complications, not because of a quality issue. I just can't, even to this day, a container, man. Like, I feel pretty proud that I can get, 1,000 kilograms from one farm in a year, but...
Right. But even then, like, getting a full container load, the whole purpose is not about quantity, it's quality. Yeah. How can you assure the quality of something that's traveling by sea, which can take 90 plus days, and how do you know it's sealed? They're just basically sitting in burlap sacks. By the time it gets there, I'm not interested in it.
I just won't do it. So
you can't even transport organic tea like that based on the regulations. It's just not possible.
DHL is the way to go for that, for sure.
I know it increases the costs a little bit, but then at least you know that it's the freshest possibility. And
it's hard to
I think look, man, people are willing to pay for it. I mean, if you introduce people to matcha and not this crap they sell at Starbucks, I mean, like real matcha, and you look at the entry level price and people say, holy crap, like that's very expensive.
Right.
We don't look at the price, we look at the quality of it. Right. And I think that's what makes the difference.
I don't know what they're selling it at. I hope so. I like to always say, like, whenever we mention the big guys, that it's because of them that people get sort of interested or introduced to. It's like a bridge. And then I actually miss that in tea. There used to be more of a presence of like a David's tea locally, or Teopia, and then Teetopia, etc. Tivana, sorry. But it's not really there. I'm going to pour more 120 grams again, by the way, and I'm going to do 45 seconds instead of 30.
Yeah, okay, you do that. I'm going to start my water again.
Okay. Yeah, I got this lovely little thing that keeps my water hot all the time. But the problem with that, of course, with boiling water, is that my
Mr. Fancy Pants.
Mr. Fancy Pants. Well, my water disappears after a while because it's boiling the whole time.
Technology, please.
just Slovakia. The plugs? Can they handle the Can they handle it?
The, do I have it?
It's a Euro plug, right? Do you have the adapters?
It's a Euro plug. They're like this.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. You just need an adapter, and you'll be okay. You must have an access.
I have adapters.
Yeah, they sell them. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I'll see if I can show you. Okay. It's like this is what they look like.
Right. Yes. I actually.
And sometimes they have the third prong. This is like the ground plug. It's.
I bought
fairly common.
I bought a softbox off of Instagram. One of the few products I bought off. Not always a good idea to buy things off of Instagram, but it arrived to me in Canada with that plug.
I've never bought a single thing off Instagram.
Yeah. The plug looked like that. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. I was in need of a softbox. I needed that white background for the tea, and it was like LED lights, and it would just make everything so much easier. But couldn't plug it in. It was kind of funny. Had to get an adapter.
Just get adapters for that kind of stuff. Honestly, it's not a big deal at all.
There you go. Yeah. So this kind of tea that we're drinking right now, like honestly, it's when you get third, fourth, fifth, sixth steeps that things start to get super interesting. Super interesting.
Okay.
That first steep is a lot of it's in the nose, but now you're going to get a little bit more acid in a good way. So this is my fancy pants technology. I've been see this guy? This is like this is I'm gonna take you on a tour here, Adrian. This is my me bragging, I guess. No, I'm not bragging. I'm just showing you. It's kind of cool. I figured you get how awesome.
Which camera are you showing it in? Because I think you're on the.
Oh yeah, this is your camera. Okay, so
that's my camera.
So this.
Akaya?
So it says yeah, it says Akaya, and basically
I can read.
Amazing. So. What makes it cool is that it corrects itself when the temperature is weird, or when the pressure is weird. You know, scales start getting wonky when you have too high of, like when it's about to rain or something. You don't. It's not stable, and you get these really weird.
I'll be honest with you, man. I haven't noticed that.
Okay. All right. Well, so that's the thing. And then this one, you can press the button, and it actually starts counting up. So it has a timer on it. Isn't that cool? And it's 0.1 gram. I'm pretty stoked about that. And then I have this.
Nice.
Yeah. I figured if there's anybody who would understand how exciting it is, it's got to be Adrian. Yeah.
Listen, I'm all excited about technology.
Right? Yeah. No, it works. Mm-hmm. The other is, of course, the temperature variable kettle, and I really enjoy it. It's these teas, man, where you just need a rolling boil and none of that matters, that are so much easier.
I just remember you lending me one of the carafes, one of the Japanese ones that actually keeps the liquid at the correct temperature of whatever you set it at.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing I've seen since sliced bread.
Yeah, right? It's pretty fun times. It's pretty fun times.
That's awesome. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
You know, one of my memories I was talking about was back in the day. Remember when we did those cold brew in the champagne glasses, the cold brew iced tea in the champagne glasses for your show that you did at the at Alex Goulden Hall, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was really fun. You know, we bought a pasteurizer from Austria. We've been doing a lot of tests, and we're gonna pasteurize cold brew iced tea, and we're gonna bottle it in champagne bottles, and then we'll be able to do like a 2-year shelf life on really nice tea that we cold brew, and it's gonna be like what we served at your show. Isn't that cool?
It was amazing tea, actually. It was very, 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 very good.
It's good, right? Like the whole idea of
that.
Yeah, no, because a lot of people try and get iced tea happening, but it's just kind of, there's two problems. One is it's not shelf stable, so they put in things like ascorbic acid, and it ends up tasting like lemon, so they just call it lemon tea, so that they can bring down the pH to a shelf stable level, or they brew it hot, or they do both. And when you brew hot, those volatile oils in your tea oxidize in about 15 minutes, and then you're done. So, what are you up to in Slovakia these days? We mentioned the teaching. So you're an English teacher. You're a piano teacher. You're both. You're performing.
I'm both. Sometimes doing the both thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So basically, I mean, I've done the run of the gamut here. I worked at an English school. I worked for the state in the university as a pedagogical professor, which was interesting because I really wanted to get some experience at university level to see what was up with that.
What was the word you used? What kind of professor?
Pedagogical.
I don't know what that means.
It means for teaching how to teach.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Pedagogy, yeah.
Very cool. Okay, that's awesome. Okay.
So that faculty was where you would go to if you wanted to study how to be a teacher.
So you're teaching teachers.
That's right. Yeah. Third year bachelor, because there's only 3 years to a bachelor here, and then 5th year, which is second year of master's studies. So I was doing things like practical language and advanced English courses for them. It was kind of cool.
That's fun. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
sorry,
keep going.
Yeah, go ahead. You were going to ask a question.
And
that was relevant, perhaps.
But that at the same time as piano, or was this something that you put on pause for a bit?
I've always been teaching piano. Okay. The only thing is, in this day and age, when music is more of a hobby or an extra, it's difficult to find the right kind of students. Now, the thing is, I could have a whole roster full of students for a piano, but what would be the dynamic between them and me? Right now, it's difficult to get people to do homework, even as an English teacher. So having someone not do their practicing is difficult. And I can liken it to this factor. If there's 10 people that want to take piano lessons, that come to me either through seeing me on Facebook or Instagram or hearing about me through word of mouth, out of 10, 5 of them don't even have a keyboard.
Wow. Okay.
Out of the 5 that are left, 3 of them generally don't understand that they need to practice on a daily basis to make their money and time, and also to make my time worth their while.
Right.
They believe that once or twice a week is enough for practice. So now we have 2. So the 2 left are just not happy with the rate. They want discounts. Right. And again, this leaves me absolutely 0. So the amount of piano students that I'm willing to work with is very difficult to raise higher. So what I found is teaching English is far more practical, because if you look at it, English is spoken by over 1 billion people as a second language in the world.
Wow.
Not just talking about North America and England, etc., all the English-speaking countries, but 1 billion people as a second language. It is the international language of business, and it's one of the official languages in the European Union. So if you want to be successful in your life and in your profession, or you want your children to be successful in their lives, English is a necessity. So for me, this is a far more practical way of earning a living for me, because the people who are coming here, maybe they don't do homework. I'll be honest, and if any of my students are watching, you know what I'm talking about. You don't do your homework. The point is like, the homework comes with the fact that they watch movies that are English dubbed but subtitled in Czech.
Right. Oh,
and
who's here? We've been joined by my honorary co-host, Sherri Anne of Sister Speak.
Hello,
Sherri Anne.
Awesome.
Hi. Sorry, trying to get this to stay up.
You made it on. Yeah, we're speaking of music. Adrian, Sherri Anne. Sherri Anne.
Hi, Adrian.
Hi, Sherri Anne.
Sherri Anne, have you met Adrian before? I don't know when.
I don't think we've met before.
Okay, all right. So Sherri Anne is both my sister and the lead singer of her music project Sister Speak, a career musician. And we were just she's actually on her 3rd studio album pretty soon here, releasing in April. Is it April?
Yeah, and is it April? April 1st.
Adrian is an amazing classical pianist, but I met him as the owner of the Serendipity Tea Company back when he was a student at Camosun College, and then since then he's moved to Europe, and he's actually joining us live from Slovakia right now.
Wow!
Yeah, and so we're drinking that Floral Lapsang Souchong, and
Love it. I just boiled the water. Should I make a cup?
You should make a cup.
I think you should definitely join us.
5 grams, 120 mils, 30 seconds. Yeah, you.
Perfect.
Yeah, Sherri Anne's got the skills. This is her we've done 91 episodes. This is episode 91, so 91.
Is it really?
Yeah,
91?
yeah,
Oh
90.
my gosh.
And I think you've been on at least 80 of them, if not more, right? So yeah.
Yeah, probably, hey?
Made quite a few cups of tea. So you're gonna go boil your water?
Yes, so good to meet you, Adrian.
Nice to meet you as well, Sherri Anne.
Thank you for taking the time all the way from Slovakia. That's so cool.
Amazing.
I'll be right here.
Okay.
Okay. So Jared, just to finish up about what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's with English, it's just more practical for people because they don't do the homework, but essentially they're watching movies, they're reading books, they're traveling, they want to talk to people. So the extra work is done. Like maybe they have an hour or two lessons with me per week, but they're getting many more hours of practice, and it's useful for them. So for me, I feel like this is a better use of my time, and there's less stress involved in that.
You know,
pressure.
it's actually how I learned to be a small business owner, was teaching English in Japan. So I found that it was I actually found it a lot easier to teach adults than I did to teach kids and young like high school kids and stuff, because there was this sense of choice. This idea of I'm choosing to learn this, that it was really hard to navigate when the person felt obligated and they didn't. Yeah, so I can kind of see there's probably something similar there, but yeah, it was really. I found it actually really meaningful. Very meaningful to teach English to people that really wanted to learn it.
Yeah. The one thing, there is a stigma attached to it, and it's almost it's somewhat wrong that teaching English is what you do when you get out of university, when you want to travel. It almost insinuates that there's no finesse or quality to it.
Right.
And it could be the case. I mean,
I've seen that
if you
before,
go to a foreign country, obviously you can host conversation classes, and this is one thing, but somebody who hasn't studied the language, and of course we don't study English that in depth in Canada, so do we understand the grammar? Probably not. But if you want to do it, you have to do it. You have to study it. You have to sit down and go through the books and understand, like, wow, we have 12 tenses.
I learned about past perfects. I actually knew nothing.
Oh yeah,
I knew nothing until I actually went through textbooks. I would read textbooks, and I'm like, I was learning more from the teaching material than I had ever learned, and I kept.
That blew my mind.
Yeah,
it blew my mind when I found out that we had 12 tenses, and they're used differently. And you know, the funny thing is, Slavic languages, they only have 3 tenses. They have past, present, and future. That's it.
Wow. Yeah, Japanese has more than that, but that's interesting. That is really interesting. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, no, sorry, Sherri Anne, what's up?
I missed that last sentence, and it sounded really interesting.
just that.
If you heard it again, maybe you wouldn't feel the same.
No, Sherri Anne's a language enthusiast for sure. Yeah. But yeah, we were just talking about the multiple tenses of language, and learning that English, like through really teaching it. Realizing, I guess, just how complex and complicated it is, because Adrian is an English teacher in Slovakia. He's also so you don't teach piano right now. Do you still play piano?
I do teach piano.
You do teach
I play piano and I teach piano.
But you just teach to a smaller roster of folks because it just doesn't make sense to open up the
my
the
idea,
floodgates.
if I can take a second to explain it, I don't agree with this 30-minute lessons, 45-minute lessons, because I remember as a kid, I would come in, especially if it was, I grew up in Winnipeg, right? So the winters are quite harsh.
Yeah.
So coming in from walking to my piano teacher's house, my hands were freaking frozen. I couldn't use them for a half an hour. And then she said, okay, play me something. And I'm like, I can't, my fingers don't work. And of course, you've had whatever's happening in your day, you're stressed, you're tired, maybe you're hungry, and you only have a half an hour, 45 minutes. It doesn't work like that. You need to be able to come in, and you need to be able to just connect with that person and get them to a place where they're able to absorb what you're trying to show them and then work through it. So I don't believe in these prescribed lesson times. You got to have an hour and a half minimum, even for kids. You know, it's very easy to just slide through that 45 minutes and not actually get anything done. So that's the other thing too, that's important.
I don't know about you, Sherri Anne, but when I'm recording, with the Truth and Dolphin, the music project that I do, when I sit down to write or record, similar. It's like if you just kind of go right into it, it's important. I mean, if you have to, you have to. I mean, mine is more of a hobby level. Sherri Anne's and you, Adrian, are the ones who are the professionals. But I find it so helpful to just have 20 minutes with the person who I'm gonna be recording with, to just have like maybe a tea, or just like a how was your day kind of moment, and just sort of like settle in. And sometimes that's just natural. You're just setting things up and just conversation is happening, and then you get into it. But I've also been in situations where it's like, okay, we're here, let's do it, like right away. And it's like, the quality isn't ever, I don't know. I don't think you get.
The only way that would work is if you had a dedicated room, or 2 rooms, or a room with a couple pianos as a pianist, where the kids could come early and warm up and do their scales and test some stuff out, so that when it's time for their lesson, they're already warmed up and in that frame of mind. That's the only other way.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool point, huh?
That's actually what I would do when I was taking lessons. And when I was like 12, I would go to the music store. It was like, what was it called? Lightworth in Kelowna. And I would go in and I'd play like all the instruments. I'd go in like an hour, sometimes an hour early, and I'd just start playing drums. I can't believe they let me play drums in the music store. Like I practice beats, and it was right next to the lesson rooms. I feel bad now. It's probably good.
It's funny.
And I just tried all the instruments, and then I'd be like ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's cool. That's how it's gotta be.
Yeah, I can't remember how long the guitar lesson was actually, but I definitely did get a lot out of it as long as I got there early. Was when I was like rushing there and just show up, go. It was like
never the same, hey? Like just in terms of the quality of the lesson. Yeah, I've always no, it's interesting. I think it's like that with any sort of profession, even like when I go to teach. I actually enjoy the act of teaching very much, Adrian. The reason why I ended up not feeling like I personally had a future in it is I felt like it was so tied up in me. Like I personally had to be there. So if I ever wanted to scale it up, I mean, there's so much more opportunities now, I think, with online and making materials, and maybe I saw that you sell textbooks, etc. on your webpage. I thought that was really interesting. Like I think there's different opportunities that perhaps existed back then, but I didn't take advantage of. But at the time, I felt like if I'm not physically in this space, nothing will move forward monetarily. Whereas as a tea merchant, if I set up a system where a cafe is buying from me, then they buy product from me. They're selling it. If everybody shuts down, which is what happened during COVID, everything comes to a standstill. I remember in April, I only had 2 customers out of 70 that were actually operating. It was crazy. Like overnight, 85% of my revenue was gone in like 2 weeks, and it was really scary. But other than that, like just like the theory of, and then I still enjoy the teaching. So I do a lot of, I really found that I enjoy education. But it was an interesting dilemma to sort of balance.
Well, with the language, it's a good way to connect to people.
It is. Yeah, and it's really real on a certain level. I think I'm more into it now. I think when I was young and your early 20s and wanting to do something at a big scale.
Nice teacup.
That's
so cool.
How long was I supposed to steep it for?
45 seconds.
Oh, oversteeped it.
30 seconds the first time.
Oh,
45.
I steeped it like a minute.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Just if it's a little bit too intense, then just you can cheat a little bit and add a little water.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the only teacup I managed to bring over here.
I love it.
Are we doing Alice in Wonderland? Do you have a second or third smaller cup?
Like a Russian doll thing? Yeah. No, it needs to happen.
The nesting dolls.
Oh. It all goes inside.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You could do a third steep, Adrian, if you... I guess we're actually, we're coming up to 2 o'clock. How long do I have you for? Is it I think I asked for you until 2, but do you have an extra 5
You can have me a little longer. Sherri Anne just got here.
I know, right? I feel like it's
so sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Cheers, this is incredible. What are the flavors you're getting? I might have missed it, but like I'm definitely getting the flowers, the buttery taste.
Yeah. Isn't that nice? There's like
Mm.
the florality. I was saying like rose, but Adrian, you got to remind me what you came up with. It was pretty fun.
Initially,
Yeah,
it was like fermented
that was it.
oranges or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. No, it's cool.
Mm.
No, I think there's a brandy like quality to it for sure. That's
Sure.
interesting, huh?
Is there like almost like a little bit of a coconut oil taste to it?
You know,
It's like
yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
it's kind of
this
oil, something oily a little bit, in a
this
way that's good, not like oily, but like there's got to be a better
Not
word
like
for it.
greasy hair oily, but like fish oily.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God,
Oh yeah.
both really gross. Yeah. Thank you, Adrian. I'm gonna
Or
I'm gonna
see.
put that on the tasting notes. This is a finish of fish oil and greasy hair. Yeah,
Oh,
Adrian. No,
oh man.
no, that's really nice. You know, the same farmer does. I was telling him does a Da Hong Pao, which is a really famous oolong out of Wuyi Mountain.
Hmm.
But he also manipulates leaves. Like he's got such sophisticated control over enzymatic oxidation, that process that develops the tea leaf color and breaks down the cell walls and releases those sugars and develops those sugars. That he has one that he has fun with that he calls juicy peach. I thought that was funny. And if anybody ever sends me a tea that they call juicy peach, I'll be honest. I'm gonna be like, okay, this is gonna be a scented tea. It's gonna be 2-dimensional. I'm not gonna be very interested. It can, I don't want to judge the perfume tea drinkers. That's cool. Earl Grey is a thing. It's been like 400 years of Earl Grey, or whatever. I don't know the exact year, but whatever, right? It's good. But I'm super interested in unscented teas, and I love the flavors and complexities that are able to be delivered via just Camellia sinensis and how you work with it and interact with it. Um, but this one called Juicy Peach, it actually does taste like peaches, but it's legit. Like it's not like a scented tea. This is like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's really good. So we actually, I was kind of hinting at it. Today is somewhat connected to last week's show where we did a really beautiful Fu Ding Bai Mu Dan, like a really nice white tea. Um, and this tea is in that series, and it's called our reserve tea. So if you go onto the website, we actually have a bunch of senchas right now in our reserve teas, but we're
Okay.
gonna start adding to them. So the senchas are all these like single cultivar senchas. We have this unfired and fired series where you can taste them when they've been finished fired versus when they have not, and they're still aracha. So it's like, if you want to like totally geek out, go to the reserve section because there's some really interesting, cool
Wow.
stuff, right? And then the other teas, they're stuff that we cup hundreds of teas and we'll choose them because they hit a number of things. We like them, they're delicious, but they also hit a price point that makes sense for our cafe clients, so we can wholesale them to them, and then they can sell them to their customers. But these ones, the reserve teas, if they wanted them, they still could, the cafe clients, but it's not the point.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? It's like,
I understand.
yeah. So if you bought it at the tea shop, what you're drinking right now is going to be about a $12 a cup kind of tea. Whereas a lot of times I'm really shooting for a $3 or $4 price point, just so that it makes sense.
Mhm.
And with
Keep
not to
in
say-
mind, sorry, I have a quick question
Yeah,
for you
please.
about pricing.
Yeah.
Because you're mentioning a $12 cup of tea.
yeah.
In a traditional cafe, what does a cup of coffee cost or a cup of tea that
Well,
would come in a bag form?
so if they're selling RTs, like $3.50, $4. If they're selling
Okay.
not RTs, then you're looking at anywhere from $2 to $3. More like it's getting closer to $4 these days. Like we're not the only ones
Hmm.
that are in that range, but it's definitely more of a premium tea option to, or at least that's the mindset when you get past $3 and near in
Sure.
on or exceed the $4 price point.
Sure, I understand.
Yeah.
The $1 to $2 to $2.50 tea seems to be like President's Choice or Lipton.
Yeah, you're kind of, it's like maybe the tea you have on the ferry, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like in Slovakia
yeah.
with the
What do we-
cafe.
What is tea like in Slovakia? I
Yeah, like
mean,
with the pricing
And the quality.
and the quality, and also is there like a more of a push towards like for here? Like when I was in Berlin, it was a lot of like everything was more so like for here. Like obviously,
there are some small markets, very much like David's tea, that you can find where there are giant tins of tea that you can have measured out for you that are kind of almost partially oxidized anyway. But they
Yeah.
do offer you a large selection, so it's available. Tea is drunk all the time. When you go to someone's house, they offer you tea. Mostly it's herbal teas that would be found here. A lot of people also wildcraft their own teas. So if you're talking to somebody and they say, yeah, my mother or my grandmother goes out to the mountains and she picked all these herbs and this is the tea that she makes, this is what you're drinking traditionally. A lot of rose hip tea is being made because rose hips grow here, so you can just take them there, you can suck on them, or you can take them home and dry them and make them into tea later on.
Mm.
There's a lot of herbal stuff going on. If you're talking about traditional teas like Earl Grey or any kind of Ceylon black, or like an English breakfast, which is Ceylon and Assam blends, you're just getting the same kind of stuff. Um, you can get Lipton, you can get other brands here. It's basically the same price range as you'd find in Canada, same quality.
Okay.
Mm.
But in terms of something that you're doing at JagaSilk,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really found too much. There is a tea house here in the city center, or close to the city center, that they specialize in Japanese teas. They do matchas, and I've been there. They had one of the plantation owners come from Japan
Oh wow.
to do a tea ceremony and presentation, and that was quite interesting.
Cool.
They do have those devices and everything in place, so you can find good tea there. Again, hit pretty hard because of COVID, and I'm not sure if they've reopened yet.
Mm. You know, it's a good question because in Russia and in during the Cold War, there was like an Eastern Europe, the wall, right? The Berlin Wall, and I'm not gonna betray my ignorance of geography and place Slovakia in the right place, but I'm thinking Eastern.
Oh, go ahead. Tell me, where do you think it is?
Czechoslovakia. So right next to
There's
Czech.
there's no wrong answers.
Okay.
except wrong
I'm
answers.
saying
Okay.
right next to the Czech Republic.
Oh yeah, but which side? I mean, there's north, south, east, west.
East of Czech.
Okay, you're correct so far.
Feeling good. Okay. All right. Okay. Then I'm not going to embarrass myself further. But the Czechs actually have quite a tea industry, and that's
Okay.
because during the Cold War they had very little access to coffee purchasing due to the economic wall that was also put up, and so they would interact with China a lot, and so they would get access to some beautiful Chinese teas. And
Oh,
so
because the comrades were in China too, my friend. That's why.
so one of my good friends owns a tea house in Czech, in Prague, and it's called Metea. He was on the show, Meetea, and he does such an awesome job, and he's got me super stoked to go to Czech. When I go to Czech, which will happen, I obviously need to go to Slovakia. But the tea industry, especially when it comes to super premium Chinese teas with the little tiny teapots and like the gorgeous, like blow your mind selections, it's a thing. Like you have this super specialized tea service in Czech. I wonder, it makes sense if that's true in Czech. It must be true in Slovakia with a little bit of digging, no?
Not so much. Not
No?
that I've seen. No.
Okay, that's
So Bratislava is the main hub
Okay.
of the country where most of the industry and the jobs are.
and you're not
I
seeing
have
it.
traveled around the whole country and I haven't really seen it outside, and really not much here either.
Huh. Okay, all right. Well, maybe
But
maybe
that can change. That can change. I was thinking, I mean, you should establish a European hub for JagaSilk.
Nice. I've sent you teas in the past where you've sort of like dabbled in reselling them into.
Yeah, you know what the problem is?
What's that?
You know why there isn't something big here? It's because people who open up any kind of cafes, bars, or coffee shops, they generally look at the bottom line. They're looking at it from an accounting perspective, not from a taste perspective.
They do that here, but you know, choose. I guess I love the perspective of the owner of Folepi locally. He says you just choose really good ingredients that you're inspired about, and you just price to suit, and then
Yeah.
you know that actually it ends up setting so if you need to hit particular margins, then and you need to sell the tea for $15 for whatever reason, then you just sort of wait and see, you know, like you know it's good, you have a story, and then you just cross your fingers that it's gonna hit the right people. When we started, honestly, $12 for a cup of tea was not gonna happen. You know, like there's a certain amount of build up the trust and know, you know, people respect your sourcing methodologies and know that
Sure.
that you got something really special, and that's why it's that way. And I also love the idea of having multiple options, like have something that's a little bit more accessible, but also have these really special things, because it's like that. I don't know, with anything, like a nice bottle of wine, it's nice if it's, you know, have a blow your mind wine, but it's also nice to just have something really, really good, but not necessarily like $300 a bottle or something, you know.
I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Well, I'm still finding this to be extraordinary, and I'm not going to do any ads this time like I did last show.
Okay.
Random things to be an advertisement.
Ads for what exactly?
Oh, she was had all these products up. It was so funny. She was
Well, for instance, this cup, it comes from a Riviera brand of yogurt.
yeah. she went and grabbed the yogurt. She showed it off, and you had some other things too. I think you were showing.
It was like a kettle that was like retro, made of.
Yeah, you were really stoked about the kettle. We got to see the brand name. It was very
really ridiculous.
very funny. But
yeah, the tea does taste phenomenal. I'm just so curious. Like, I've never tasted this taste before. What is the like toasted flavor, and how is that happening? Did we talk about that already?
that's Wuyi Mountain. So what you're picking up on is processing methodologies that they do on Wuyi Mountain. So there's a deep oxidation of the tea leaves, right? Because polyphenol oxidase, the PPO enzyme, is responsible for that process of browning the leaves. And if you choose just the right moment to deactivate that enzyme in a process called kill green, in Darjeeling, for example, they wait until they can smell green apples, and when they can smell green apples, that's when they know they need to deactivate the enzyme. But every farmer is going to make this part of their, or every garden manager in larger estates is going to make this part of their sort of knowledge base, what they need to be able to bring to the table for consistency, flavor, etc. And in after you've done that, there's a certain amount of manipulation of the leaves that continues. So you've deactivated the enzyme, you're crushing the leaves, you're rolling them, you're oxidizing them, you're shaking them, you're crushing them again, you're rolling them. Like there's so many different ways you can get different flavors out. And in Wuyi Mountain, they add something to that where they bring it to this point where it's almost done, kind of like the Japanese arachas that go through a tea roaster to become sencha. You have them bring it to a certain point where it's almost done, and then they charcoal roast. And so what you're tasting is a little bit of that charcoal roast. It's very,
really nice.
very, very lightweight. Almost like brings out like an apricot, like a cooked apricot or stewed kind of stone fruit flavor. It's really, really yum. Extra yum.
Yeah.
It
Guys, I'm gonna give you a final 2 or 3 minute countdown because I have to be on my way soon.
I was, you beat me to the punch. That's good. Okay, because we do need to end at 2:15. So this works out perfectly. Adrian, you want to actually, if people want to go and find out, and keep making this tea, by the way, guys. Like this is, again, it's going to give you lots of love. So 5, 6, 7 steeps. Just go for it. But if people want to find you on social media, or if they want to find you online and they want to look in at your projects, your English teaching, your piano work, how do they find you?
The easiest way to do that is go to Instagram or YouTube. My channel is called Adrian Bronson Piano. The link should be in the description for this video.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh, yeah. I have adrianbronson.com. Should I change the...
That's the website, but okay. Adrian Bronson Piano are my handles for Instagram and YouTube.
I will add it to the description.
I'd appreciate to see you there. Add a subscription, watch some videos, likes, comments. I'll respond to you. Appreciate all the love and support.
And you might start a show of your own, right? And maybe I'll wrestle my way onto your show, right?
I'd be very happy to have you guys on, both of you.
Oh, wonderful. Cool.
I'm game.
how about Sherri Anne? Where is, if Adrian or anybody watching wants to find your music project and what you're up to, how do they find you?
So sisterspeakmusic.com is the website, and we have a Patreon as well. and the handles are at Sister Speak Music. So it's
Sweet.
all my thing.
And you do a show every 2 weeks these days, right? On Thursdays before JagaVision?
Yeah, so the second and fourth Thursday at 12 p.m.
For
That
you.
would be
So
9 in Berlin. So are you in an hour ahead or?
I'm an hour ahead of you.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm not in Berlin now, but
Oh, okay.
but I mean, yeah, that would be 10 p.m. then.
It's
Yeah, every
amazing.
Thursday.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Well,
Wonderful.
thank you to both for coming on the show, and I hope you enjoy the tea and continue to drink it. And such a joy to see you again, Adrian. It's been way too long.
Likewise. It's a pleasure, Jared, and nice meeting you, Sherri Anne. All the best to you.
Lovely to meet you, Adrian.
All right.
Have a good week. All
Okay,
of
take
you.
care, guys. All
See
the
you
best. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Take care. Bye.
Love you, Jaga.
So that was Adrian Bronson of Adrian Bronson Piano, and we had Sherri Anne joining us from Sister Speak Music. That's our episode 91. I'm Jared Nyberg. I'll see you next week, Thursday, 1 o'clock. Every Thursday at 1 o'clock. We have different guests, or we're doing different stuff. And if you want to find out what's coming up next, go to JagaSilk.com. Sign up for our Jaga Spam, and we will keep you in the loop. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I'm Jared Nyberg. Go to JagaSilk.com. Buy this tea. It's really good.